My wife was going on a business trip, but arranged for her Korean female friend to stay at our house. She asked if I wanted to try Korean food. Before my wife went on a business trip, she brought home a beautiful Korean woman, saying she was her close friend who was traveling in our country and needed to stay at our house for a few days. Less than 3 minutes after my wife left, the Korean friend couldn't wait any longer. "Appa, I want to do something with you that only the two of us can do." I was startled by her forwardness and boldness. "But you're my wife's friend." She gave a seductive smile. "Friends should share good things." "Appa, you look very strong. Don't you want to try Korean cuisine?" My wife was going on a business trip for a week. Before leaving, she brought home a mature, charming woman with a fascinating allure. Her name is Kim Min-hee, a Korean woman who is my wife's international friend. She's not only beautiful, but also has an incredible figure with a slim waist and curved features that are quite impressive. Truly an extraordinary beauty. "Husband, Hui Hui is traveling to our country and will be staying at our home for a few days. But I'm going on a business trip today, so I'll leave entertaining Hui Hui to you." "What? She's staying at our house for a few days?" Hearing my wife's words, I was stunned. I was quite happy at heart to stay with such a beautiful foreign woman. What confused me was my wife. Was she really comfortable letting me be alone with such a beautiful woman? Wasn't she worried something might happen? She really trusts me too much. Kim Min-hui smiled and walked toward me, swaying her waist. "Hello, Appa. My name is Kim Min-hui, but you can call me Hui Hui like Sister Yun does." When Kim Min-hui extended her hand toward me, I immediately snapped back to attention and quickly said, "Hello, hello. No need to be formal. You can just call me Along." I politely shook her hand and was about to let go, but Kim Min-hui held my hand tightly, even tracing the inside of my palm with her finger. "Okay, Appa. Appa looks so handsome and strong." Kim Min-hui licked her lips and gave me a flirtatious wink. This bold behavior made my heart flutter, and I hastily pulled my hand away as if I'd been shocked by electricity. Inwardly, I wondered, aren't Korean girls being too forward? How dare she make these little moves right in front of my wife? I nervously glanced toward my wife, but at that moment she had turned away to answer a phone call and hadn't seen what happened. I breathed a sigh of relief, while simultaneously feeling something unusual stirring inside me. I'd heard that Korean girls can be quite open and adventurous, and wondered if it was true. "Honey, it's getting late, and my boss is urging me to hurry. I'd better go now. Hui Hui, have fun. I'll send you a red packet when you come back." After saying this, my wife hurriedly left and quick. KLY disappeared from sight. Now there were only two people left in the room, me and Jean Minhui, a lone man and woman. I looked at her, she looked at me, and gradually the atmosphere began to grow ambiguous. Jean Minhui looked at me with a smile, her charming eyes containing tender affection like flowing water. She slowly moved closer to me, her breath fragrant as orchids. "Appa, your wife has gone far away. Since that's the case, why don't we do something that only the two of us can do together?" Her words were full of heavy suggestion, her graceful body almost pressed against mine, her red lips just inches away from mine. I was startled by her forwardness and boldness. My wife had just left, and she was already eagerly making such a proposal. Is this the unique cultural difference from foreign countries? "Miss Jean, you need to calm down. We've just met, and moreover, you're my wife's close friend. This isn't appropriate. My wife has been too busy lately, so I've been thirsty for several months now." Being stirred up by Jean Minhui like this, a fire of temptation immediately arose in my lower abdomen. But I still tried my best to control myself. "Close friend? Shouldn't close friends share good things with each other? Since Yun has such a handsome and strong husband, she should share him with her good friend. Appa, don't you want to try the taste of Korean cuisine?" This was no longer a hint. This was completely and utterly explicit. Jin min hui ta yong guojig fei su de xiaotui, tai wa da tri shang tsong lit song, yilan mi li de kanjawa, turan, ta sun shou yi jia. My body suddenly trembled, and a tingling sensation spread throughout my entire body, feeling as if I had floated into the clouds. What's your gaini dalbai sai?" I didn't dare to continue, hurriedly pushed her away, and fled with an intense feeling of restlessness. First, I didn't want to do anything that would betray my wife, and second, my wife had only left a few minutes ago. What if she suddenly returned? Wouldn't I be caught in the act? I quickly went to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, and rinsed several times before I could barely extinguish the burning feeling in my heart. Afraid of making a mistake, I thought for a moment and decided to call my wife. It took about half a minute before the call connected. "Honey, why are you calling?" Pant pant. Hearing my wife's heavy breathing, I couldn't help but frown. "Honey, what are you doing? Why are you panting? Your voice sounds a bit strange too." "Huh? Oh, I'm rushing to catch a bus. The bus went the wrong way and doesn't want to turn around. MMM. My wife's voice became increasingly strange, but I didn't think much of it, as my mind was focused on how to handle the situation with Jean Minhui. "Honey, after all, Jean Minhui is a woman, and it's not really appropriate for her to stay at our place. Why don't I find her a hotel at my own expense? That would be more convenient. If I let her stay at home any longer, I can't guarantee what might happen. Moreover, this Korean girl is just too uninhibited and forward. I thought my wife would understand what I meant, but unexpectedly she refused and even scolded me. Zhang Long, do you have too much money or something? We clearly have room at home, yet you want her to stay at a hotel. Besides, I've already promised her. If we suddenly change our minds, what will she think of me? We can't let foreigners think that we Chinese are stingy. This concerns our national dignity. No matter how I tried to explain, my wife strongly refused. With no other choice, I had to abandon this idea. After pouring water, I came to the living room, only to find no one there. Miss Jean? Hui hui. I called several times with no response. Could it be that she had overheard my phone call with my wife and left out of embarrassment? Suddenly, a scream came from the bedroom, the voice somewhat shrill. It was Kim Minhui's voice. My expression changed as I feared something bad had happened to her. I hurried upstairs and rushed into the bedroom. After all, she was a guest. If my wife came home and found that her friend had been injured in our house, she would certainly berate me endlessly. Miss Kim, what's wrong with you? Entering the room and seeing the scene before me, I immediately froze in place, my heart nearly jumping out of my mouth. There was Kim Minhui lying seductively on the bed, her enchanting figure displayed to perfection. She looked at me with a flirtatious expression, licked her lips, and beckoned to me with her finger. Appa, I'm feeling a bit unwell. Could you examine me? My scalp tingled with nervousness, and though I wanted to leave this troublesome situation, my body seemed to move on its own, slowly walking to the bedside. Where are you feeling unwell? I can take you to see a doctor. Minhui smiled seductively and touched my chin with her stockinged foot. I feel hot, like I have a fever. I need to remove some clothing to cool down. With each item she removed, my heart pounded harder, and soon she was wearing only minimal garments. She took my hand and placed it over her hard area. I feel discomfort here. Then she guided my hand downward, stopping at her thigh. This area feels dry like a desert. Could you help moisten it? Feeling the surprising sensation, I could hardly believe it, my mind buzzing. After what seemed like forever, I finally regained some clarity, quickly distanced myself from her, and urgently said, No, I can't do something that would betray my wife and family. If you want, I can get you a beer from the refrigerator. You can eat and drink by yourself, but stop trying to seduce me. I turned around, knowing that if things continued this way, I might truly make a terrible mistake. However, Kim Minhui had no intention of letting me go, directly getting up and grabbing my waist. I lost my balance and she pulled me down onto the bed. Jean Minhui took the opportunity to straddle me, her entire body burning hot, with more than just her gaze being intense. Appa, I know you haven't played husband-wife games with Sister Yun for several months now. You must be feeling very uncomfortable. I can help you. And only the two of us would know about this. Sister Yun would never find out. Trust me, Korean food won't disappoint you. You can eat whatever you want and however you want. Ta de shou fang zai le wo de sheng ko, shang tao so, yang man man wang xiaoyi. Zui zhong, zai wo kuzu la lan shang man ting le xiaolot. Gently plucking, slowly pressing, stroking, and lifting again. Wo mun hung yi sheng, hanguo niren kar hui lut. Ta shi di ji chi lut, wo de so xing. Wo zai ye run bu ju lut. Wo yao wei guo zheng gong. Fan ke wei ju jiajik ta de to wang xiao, cheer. Minhui Kim was right. I hadn't had a normal intimate relationship with my wife for several months, because my wife had been growing increasingly cold toward me. Every time I wanted to be intimate, she would refuse with various excuses. Especially on that night a week ago, because of this issue, she not only yelled at me, but also kicked me hard, almost causing permanent damage. Zhang Long, how are you any different from an animal in heat right now? I work so hard every day, and not only do you fail to show any consideration, but your mind is filled with these disgusting thoughts. You're not even a man, you're worse than a dog. That night, her words were harsh. I thought it was my own fault, felt extremely guilty, so I could only endure it silently, feeling very uncomfortable. Stimulated by Kim Minhui, my months of restraint finally found some relief at this moment. Of course I wanted more. I wanted to thoroughly try this Korean dish inside and out, but because our movements were too intense, we accidentally hit hard against the cabinet nearby. Before I could react, a camera fell on me. I was confused. Was this my wife's camera? How did it fall from the cabinet? When Kim Minhui saw the camera, her expression changed dramatically. She hurriedly tried to grab it away. I saw her reaction clearly, and her attempt to snatch it made me immediately suspect something was wrong. I quickly opened the camera and discovered it had been recording for several minutes. Everything between me and Kim Minhui had been captured clearly. At this moment, I had a bold suspicion. Tell me, did you place this camera here? You Korean woman, what exactly are you trying to do? Jean Minhui still tried to play dumb, but I didn't tolerate it and immediately grabbed her by the neck. Jean Minhui was terrified and struggled desperately, but my strength was too great for her to break free. Just as she was about to roll her eyes and couldn't hold on any longer, I let go. Jean Minhui, having survived this ordeal, greedily gasped for air. Her eyes looking at me were filled with intense fear. She had just had a brush with death. Under my interrogation, afraid of suffering further inhumane treatment, she had no choice but to reveal the entire truth. It turned out that everything was Lu Yun's conspiracy. 3 months earlier, Lu Yun had already been having an affair. The identity of her lover was also unusual. He was Lu Yun's first love, named Su Hui. They had lived together for 3 years before being forced to separate for various reasons. Now that she had reconnected with her first love, Lu Yun's heart was completely devoted to him. She was desperate to divorce me, but she was reluctant to give up my wealth. So she asked her friend Jean Minhui to help by seducing me into having an affair, forcing me to leave empty-handed. She offered 1,000 yuan as an initial payment, with another 3,000 upon completion. Jean Minhui is indeed Korean, but she has lived in China her whole life, cycling through various men. When presented with an opportunity that offered both money and men, she very quickly agreed. She had planned to win me over this morning, as she had arranged to meet 3 black men this evening. But because of this unexpected incident, the entire plan fell apart. After hearing all this, I felt the world go dark. No wonder my wife had been growing increasingly cold toward me. No wonder she came home several times with many red marks on her body, claiming they were insect bites. Now I realized they were left by her and her lover. Being betrayed by the person I loved most, my heart felt like it was being stabbed, while simultaneously burning with uncontrollable rage. Although I met Lu Yun through an arranged date, during our gradual time together, I had already fallen in love with her. After marriage, I was completely devoted to her, fulfilling her every request. When she didn't want to do housework, I did it. When she didn't want to work, I supported her. When she needed money, I transferred it on time, starting at 20,000. For 3 years, it was always like this. But I never expected she would treat me this way. When Jean Minhui saw how upset I looked, her face turned pale with fear, worried I might do something violent to her again. She quickly knelt down in front of me. "I'm sorry, Appa. This was all Lu Yun's idea. I shouldn't have listened to her malicious words. I shouldn't have done such an unconscionable thing for money. I was wrong. I was wrong. I haven't spent that 10,000 yuan yet. I'll return it all to you." She hurriedly took the 10,000 yuan from her purse and handed it to me. Just as I took it, I suddenly smelled a pungent odor. The strong odor was coming from Jean Minhui. Upon closer inspection, I could see rashes on many parts of her body, visible even through her makeup. Seeing my horrified expression, Jean Minhui nervously confessed that she has AIDS. I was terrified, my face turning pale as I hurriedly pulled away from her, wanting to be as far from her as possible. The more I thought about it, the more frightened I became. Fortunately, we hadn't gone all the way otherwise. Thinking about the consequences of getting AIDS, my hatred for Lu Yun intensified. Since this is the case, I'll make you all taste what it's like to live a fate worse than death. Jean Minhui, 我给你双倍的报酬，你帮我吃勾引素会，并和她发生关系. Since Jean Minhui has AIDS, I'll get her to seduce Su Hui. Doesn't Lu Yun enjoy being carefree and happy with Su Hui? This way, not only will Su Hui get infected, but Lu Yun won't be able to avoid it either, giving them both an unforgettable lesson for life. Lu Yun is nothing but an ungrateful person. I couldn't have been better to her, yet she still cheated. Cheating would be one thing, but she also schemed to take my property and brought a woman with AIDS home to seduce me. This is beyond what any human being would do. I'll make her understand what it means to suffer the consequences of her own actions. Jean Minhui was completely stunned. Thinking he was unwilling, I said, "I'll give you double the payment. If that's not enough, I can increase it more, but we absolutely cannot cross the bottom line." Jean Minhui was frightened by me and no longer dared to bargain. 80,000 is enough. 80,000 is enough. Appa, don't worry, I will definitely handle this matter beautifully. With my looks, I will surely make that bastard Su Hui fall at my feet. I nodded, then went into the room and took out 40,000 in cash and handed it to her. "This is the deposit, 40,000. After the job is done, I will transfer the other 40,000 to your card. After successfully hooking up with him, remember to ask for several encounters, at least 3 times, and don't allow protection. Also, find a needle and secretly poke a hole in all his protection. I will have people follow you, monitoring your every move. If you betray me, I don't mind letting you experience the feeling of death again." Jean Minhui couldn't help but shudder, hurriedly saying, "Don't worry, that definitely won't happen. I will honestly complete the mission." She carefully took the heavy stacks of cash, quickly promising, "By the way, do you know which hotel Lu Yun and Su Hui are staying at? Do you know the room number?" Jean Minhui nodded. I need this information, not to catch them in the act, as I still have many things to do and absolutely cannot alert them. But I definitely won't let them spend this day comfortably. Knowing the room number, I'll call the police directly. Hello, police. Hello, officer. I'd like to report something. Blue Sky Couples Hotel, room 3602. Someone is organizing illegal currency trading. On the other side, Lu Yun and Su Hui had already finished showering and were now passionately engaged on the bed when suddenly there was a knock on the door. Who is it? Really now? Su Hui and Lu Yun were at a critical moment, and being suddenly interrupted made them quite displeased. Ignore it. It might just be someone's prank. Let's continue. They decided to pretend they didn't hear and continue their encounter, but the knocking kept on going, seriously affecting their experience. With no choice, Su Hui put on his pants while cursing, preparing to open the door to see who it was. Knock, knock, knock. You're just going to keep knocking? Is something wrong with your brain? Do you want me to call someone to beat you up? He was extremely arrogant 1 second before, but upon opening the door, he was scared out of his wits. Standing outside were the police. The police immediately rushed in and quickly subdued Su Hui. Lu Yun had never seen such a scene before. She screamed in fright and completely hid herself under the blanket. Officer, I haven't done anything wrong. You must have the wrong person. Someone reported you for selling silver tickets. Come with us to the station. Su Hui and Lu Yun were stunned. Su Hui quickly said, Officer, we are genuinely in a relationship. We're not that kind of people. You've got the wrong idea. 9 out of 10 people say the same thing. Just come with us. After getting dressed, Su Hui and Lu Yun were taken outside, where they discovered many others who had been arrested were squatting on the ground. It turned out this place was one of the locations targeted in the police anti-prostitution operation, which they had been monitoring for a long time, but hadn't had the opportunity or leads to act on. And my report came at just the right moment. With so many people arrested, Lu Yun and Su Hui couldn't defend themselves, and to avoid having their families notified, they finally had to explain they were having an affair. Under police investigation, they found that Lu Yun was indeed in a marital relationship with me, so after moral criticism, they released them. This one-day tour of the police station made them lose the desire to continue. After checking out, they each returned to their own homes. Lu Yun returned home with a haggard face, and upon seeing the sofa, she collapsed onto it. Wife, why are you back? Hearing my voice, Lu Yun was startled. Only then remembering that she was supposed to be on a business trip, Lu Yun stammered, showing rare signs of guilt. Oh, the boss had something come up and changed the schedule. Lu Yun felt guilty. Suddenly, as if she thought of something, she hurriedly asked, Why are you the only one at home? Where is Jean Minhui? Jean Minhui had already left, preparing to complete the task of seducing Su Hui, but of course I couldn't say that. After careful consideration, having another woman stay in our home is very inconvenient, so I paid to arrange for her to stay at a hotel. Lu Yun became anxious. When did this happen? After you left, I arranged for her to stay at a hotel. Besides, she's an outsider. If word got out, it would look bad and might affect our marriage. Lu Yun felt extremely frustrated. With Jean Minhui sent away, it meant her plan had failed, and she had wasted all that effort for nothing. Gee, Zhang Long, do you have too much money? We have so much empty space at home, yet you insist on spending money on a hotel. You don't know how to save it all. Lu Yun had no outlet for her frustration and could only use me as a punching bag, berating me harshly. I felt utterly disgusted. This is what women are like, being unreasonable to such an extent. She has the nerve to talk about saving money? What about when she buys handbags and jewelry? Where was her concern for saving money when she spent 10,000 to set me up? I feel so angry now that I could eat someone. I want nothing more than to confront her right away, but I can't. This way, wouldn't most of my assets end up benefiting Lu Yun for nothing? So I can only endure for a while longer. These days I've been dealing with evidence matters, figuring out how to obtain proof of Lu Yun's infidelity. I considered asking Jean Minhui for help, but that wouldn't work. I feel that involving her would eventually cause problems. So I specifically hired a professional to help me. With the leads I provided, he collected everything I needed in just 1 week. 3 months of hotel records, hidden camera videos, and chat history from Lu Yun's phone. I guarantee no one has more complete evidence of infidelity than I do. Jean Minhui hasn't been idle these days either, diligently working on my behalf. Today, she reported her progress to me. She has successfully shared a bed with Su Hui and has had 5 instances of intimate relations, all without protection. I gave a cold laugh and replied, For the next few days, you don't need to deal with him. I want Lu Yun to have a few more encounters with him. And so, I actively put myself in a cuckold position several more times, continuing for an entire week. Until one day, Lu Yun began to feel dizzy and feverish, and frequently had diarrhea. I knew the time had come, and immediately filed for divorce in court. When Lu Yun saw the divorce petition in her hands, her eyes widened instantly. Zhang Long, you bastard. How dare you sue me? You must withdraw this case immediately, or else I'll make you pay. Looking at her surprised expression, I sneered. Make me pay? What's wrong? Haven't you been wanting a divorce all along? I'm just doing it in a different way, and now you can't accept it? Or were you trying to trick me into cheating, then secretly record videos to blackmail me into leaving with nothing? You? How did you know? Lu Yun's body suddenly trembled, and she quickly covered her mouth. I approached her step by step. I knew from the day you went to find Su Hui. Oh, I forgot to tell you why you were arrested by the police that day. It was because I reported you for selling silver ticket warehouse. Lu Yun glared at me fiercely. So that's why there were police that day? It was because of you. Zhang Long, you're too vicious. If the police had labeled me as a prostitute, do you know what a huge stain that would leave on my life? As she spoke, she grew increasingly angry and, as usual, raised her hand to slap me hard across the face. I didn't tolerate her at all and immediately slapped her back. Lu Yun screamed in pain, with blood flowing from her nose, and her face immediately swelled up. Lu Yun looked at me in panic. She couldn't understand how I, who was usually so timid and compliant, seemed like a completely different person today. Prostitute, you're hardly any different from that type of woman now. Seeing that she no longer had her usual arrogant demeanor, I pressed my advantage. Lu Yun, I'm only giving you one choice now. As long as you agree to divorce me with nothing, I won't make things difficult for you. When she heard the words, leave with nothing, Lu Yun immediately changed her expression, glaring at me. Zhang Long, don't even think about it. I'm telling you, I'm entitled to half of your assets. Leave with nothing? You're dreaming. I sneered, taking out a tablet. When Lu Yun saw its contents, she turned pale with shock, because it contained videos of her affair with Su Hui. Lu Yun, there are hundreds of videos here. If you don't agree to leave with nothing, I'll post all these videos online. One video per day for an entire year. By then, I believe even when you walk down the street, people will recognize you. Lu Yun's face turned ashen, her eyes filled with terror. Zhang Long, what deep grudge do you have against me that you would treat me this way? Don't you have any regard for our 3 years of marriage? I didn't answer her question. Instead, I opened a certain app filled with inappropriate content, then clicked to upload, selecting Lu Yun's video. Just one more step, and the video would be successfully uploaded. Lu Yun hurriedly tried to stop me. Don't. I looked at her coldly. Will you sign it or not? Tears streaming down her face. Lu Yun closed her eyes and painfully uttered 2 words. I'll sign. She ultimately couldn't withstand the pressure and, under my threat, signed the divorce agreement that left her with nothing. To be honest, I had originally just planned to intimidate her, since uploading such videos would be illegal, but I didn't expect Lu Yun would actually believe I would do it. This works out better anyway. If we had gone through a court divorce, I would have had to give her a large sum of money. After leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, I felt nothing but relief. Meanwhile, Lu Yun was completely devastated. After 3 years of marriage, she ended up with nothing. Oh, by the way, Lu Yun, although this is particularly cruel, I still want to tell you. I told her all the details of my previous plans. Lu Yun's expression grew increasingly horrified, her face turning paler, until finally, she collapsed onto the ground. Have you been feeling dizzy and feverish lately? Night sweats? Have you been experiencing diarrhea? Loss of appetite? And have you mysteriously developed a rash on your body? I'll tell you what's causing it. You have AIDS. Lu Yun trembled all over, shouting, Impossible. Impossible. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I sneered, Don't believe it? You can go to the hospital and get tested. Lu Yun looked terrified, shouting frantically, quickly getting up from the ground and rushing to the hospital. When she walked out of the hospital later, her eyes were vacant, completely devastated. Because she really did have AIDS. This was a fatal, incurable disease. Suddenly, she saw Su Hui. Lu Yun seemed to have found a safe harbor, her eyes instantly regaining some light. She desperately needed comfort now. But before she could speak, Su Hui's expression turned savage, and he violently kicked her to the ground, then began punching and kicking her, as if in a frenzy. You wretch! You wretch! If it weren't for you, how would I have gotten AIDS? How could I possibly have contracted this incurable disease? You're nothing but bad luck. I'll beat you to death. Beat you to death. Su Hui had AIDS. I was the one who told him. At first he didn't believe me, even mocked me, saying I deserved to be cheated on, saying my wife tasted good. I didn't get angry. Instead, I revealed everything that had happened in detail. Su Hui became frightened and hurried to the hospital for testing, ultimately confirming that he really did have AIDS. Su Hui was in despair, so he vented all his anger on her. If it weren't for you, how would I have been set up by your husband? How would I have gotten AIDS? You've ruined me. You worthless woman. Lu Yun screamed repeatedly as she was beaten, her heart filled with pain, regret, and despair. Afterward, she dragged her battered body to my villa, hoping to seek my forgiveness and reconcile with me. but I had already left this place. To avoid retaliation, I had moved to another city. After all, revenge from someone with AIDS is no joke. It could literally be deadly. Because she left the marriage with nothing, and society generally refuses to employ people with AIDS, Lu Yun encountered obstacles everywhere and continued to wander homeless. Since her symptoms were very noticeable, no one would accept her even as a prostitute. She eventually became critically ill while living under a bridge. We couldn't bear the trauma and chose to jump from a building. As for me, I've been living well in another city, not only establishing a stable